Hello, everyone. I am the Baron, and we're going to be talking about the next aspect of recruiting and retention. And we're going to be focusing a lot on after the pandemic. So, and we're talking, and you're thinking, well, what do you mean about after the pandemic? Well, to get stuff ready for after the pandemic, we really need to start planning a lot of stuff now to make sure we are very successful. Again, I have my wonderful friend here from the wonderful East Kingdom. Hello.
Hello, it is
Oh,
I.
it is I. There you go.
It is I. The Freitas Ilska from the Shire of Black Rose in the East Kingdom. Sup? Yeah.
So, like I said, we're going to be doing a few parts on this. So, we talked about before about what happened before the pandemic, during the pandemic, what's been going on. Now we're going to be really focusing on what we can do to get ready for after the pandemic. I don't know about for your location and stuff, but there's been a lot of groups, especially around here and in a few other kingdoms that I've talked to, because people have been pretty much cabin fevered so much right now at home that they're starting to plan for what's going to be happening after they get out of the house. So we've gotten actually quite a few people who, through social media, contacted us about, hey, tell us about what you are, what do you guys got going on, everything like that. Unfortunately, it's a lot of people checking to see, like, is anything really happening now? But now is the perfect opportunity when we get these notifications to say, hey, we have stuff, whether it's going to be online still right now through Zoom or small specific things like archery is still available in our kingdom for practice and stuff, and I know it is over in your area too. Have you seen a lot of interest, potential interest from people, or a lot more stuff online or emails? Or have you heard from other groups that this has happened
Hmm. Thinking. I know recently we had someone reach out to us who is not currently involved in the SCA, but saw us at Comic-Con last year, and we've been on their minds since then and wanted to learn more about how they could get involved in what was going on with us locally. And we did start, that conversation with them. I started the conversation with them because I'm our Shadowlin, and I gave them a bunch of other email addresses of people to talk to, and other people have been talking to them. Our Seneschal and our Knight Marshal had a little mini class with them. So did our Archery Marshal. And they've also been in contact with our Herald. And, so that right there is 2 online, discussions or classes we've had with them via this exact medium. So there has definitely been, for us, a push for that. I know our neighboring shire is working on, the Shire of Althurst is working on a medieval market, online virtual medieval market that I believe is also going to be in Gathertown, which is this new format that where we have been experimenting with here in the East Kingdom for I think it's for Cyber Monday. We have that set up so
to?
people
Cool.
could Alshurst has been organizing that where medieval vendors who would have been at Pensick or other such events have the opportunity to sell to people online. So we've definitely locally in our area, I've seen a lot of adapting to the pandemic and keeping stuff going and starting conversations with people for when the pandemic starts to peter away slowly into the distance, which hopefully will happen eventually, soon.
True. One of the things that we've had a lot of interest from a lot of, like I said, other neighboring groups, they've been getting notifications saying, hey, you know, like, what do you guys do? When do you have it? And everything like that. Because when they get out of this, and hopefully, at least for us, out of the winter time, because we can do a lot more stuff outdoors in the summer compared to, trying to find big enough enclosed spaces for fighting that still allows it without restrictions for distance and everything like that, which is a big problem. People are getting ready to find the next thing. And one of the things that I had a class earlier that I was teaching about how to teach basic sword fighting. And the whole concept before was we need to get out of this whole mindset of, hey, someone's brand new, let's just put them in armor, go out there and let's have them swing a stick and someone hit them. That doesn't always work. And in today's society, it's probably not going to work even more. So we need to have more of a structure, more of a plan, more of, hey, when they come in, maybe we need to start having a very small, like a moot. All right, let's just have like a little potluck. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a potluck. It's going to be in a park or hopefully in a big enough place that people can still social distance or whatever. But once things get better, people can now show up and actually get introduced to people instead of trying to just throw them straight into the society. So essentially, like I said before, kind of like a slow open, kind of like a slow draw. All right, we're going to have one basic thing where everyone's here. We can all sit down, we can all talk, you can look at some of the garb, you can look at some of the stuff. And because my biggest fear is that people are going to come back and they're going to go, all right, we're free and clear. All right, let's go hog wild, and just everyone will want to have an event. Everyone will expect 300 people to show up. And we need to start thinking about this smartly. So do you guys have, and I love the way that you guys are kind of escalating, which is interesting when I say escalating, because you're kind of escalating your online presence to keep stuff going. But instead of just the online, have you guys been planning what you're going to do first thing when the pandemic ends? I'll take that look as no.
Well, I have suspicions that there's things going on that I have not been informed of. So to say for a definite no would probably not be accurate. I know, especially now that we have a specific group of individuals who have expressed to us they want to be involved, we definitely, especially with the homework you gave me and Tulafloy last time, have been kind of plotting of how to help these new people integrate into our group once they can actually do in-person things. And so far that has been and encouraging them to look into archery practices, which according to Tulafloy, who will not be joining us this evening, unfortunately, they are in process of setting up private lessons with her for within the first few weeks. So we're already trying to get them to be physically involved. Because the homework you gave us last time was to come up with class ideas of either something that she and I could teach ourselves or just something that should be taught, and have like what the format of it should be and how it should be done. And I mean, especially with the questions they've been asking us, because I have gotten multiple emails from them asking for, how do you do this? And how does this work? And, plotting out, we should do a class for them on this topic and, get them started in that process so that when we do start doing in-person stuff again, they've already got that base knowledge, or they've got their persona figured out and they've got their name figured out. And, all of those fun things that you can do on your own at home will be done.
Well, even now, like with the long period, thinking
Mhm.
about your heraldic device, this
Yes.
is plenty of time to first get some information. This is the different aspects. This is Verd, this is Ghoul, everything like that. And then understand that. Then you can start doing research. And then you can start doing your proposals and everything like that. And at that point, it's like, well, we don't have to really rush, or there's other things going on. This is one of those nice things where you can start it and it can progress at the rate that the people are interested in, or
Mhm.
as Black Rose, you guys can just say, all right, this is what we're going to do. Once every 3 months, we're going to have an updated heraldic class. And we're going to see the status of things, and then we can ask questions and answer. And then we can see who's ready to submit. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, what did the group do during the entire year of the pandemic? Well, we only got 23 submitted devices for the members of the group. And people would be like, we haven't had 23 in 25 years. How did you get 23? Well, because you came up with a plan, you came up with something that's interesting, and now's like the perfect time. But now people have gotten their heraldic devices, so when they are ready to go out, now they can put it on their shields. They can have a banner. They can have something in their campsite. It's now established. So one of the other things that was brought up was now's the perfect time to get all of your old loner garb. Hey, we're going to have a nice little loner day. What we're going to do is uh, Jim is going to go and fix all the pants that are all ripped. And Jen is going to go and make sure all the hats are really nice and put new feathers in and stuff like that. So you take like your group stuff that, well, we never have time for. Now is the time, because we have time, to update our loner gear, loner armor, loner equipment, loner feast gear. So when everyone's ready, they are now ready to jump into the stuff. But it also gives everyone the opportunity to kind of start over again. Oh yeah, we do have all this loner feast gear. Hey, new people, let's have a class, or not even a class. You can just say, we're going to have a moot with, like I said, a potluck, and we're going to use the loner feast gear. And we're going to show you like the 2-pronged fork compared to the spork to whatever, and come up with these great ways to get people slowly back going into the thing. But it's still hard when you can't sit down as a group and do it. You're still doing it by Zoom, but yeah, that's the whole thing. Is now's the point to get ready for the next step, to stay active. But I love the fact that you guys are still going and accelerating the Zoom to keep stuff going, and the whole Gather Town merchant thing, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, hey, if we had like one gigantic room that had like a table and chairs, and all it is the spinning room. So a whole bunch of people just come in there, sit down on their computer, and then they're just spinning and weaving, but they're still talking to everyone as if they were in a spinning circle.
Mhm.
That type of thing, where it still becomes a social aspect, and you're making it still an SEA thing unless it's not just, all right, we're just doing another Zoom class. because you can do the same thing by, all right, we're going to have an online feast. All right. So you sit down and you're at your own table and you're eating your own food, but you see the people that would be across the table from you or next to you and see what type of food they're eating and their candles and their spices and everything like that. So it's weird to say, we're kind of getting better at Zoom environment, but we also need to get ready for getting out of Zoom environment again.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that you've, as you said, you've talked to some of the new people. What about some of the older people? What have they been talking about, or what have they been saying, or that they're going to do to get ready? Not just for them to get back in, but also get the group going, get some of the new people involved. Have they said anything?
Well, I know that our Mistress of Ans does not like the online. she is ready to, yeah, she is ready to, she was starting to host sewing nights at her home and had to stop with the pandemic. And I know that as soon as she is able to do that again, she's going to be doing that again.
Oh, it's a big community. I understand.
Yeah, this whole online thing and the pandemic and everything has really depressed her, and she's not a tech person and just doesn't want it's a lot for her, and it's something she struggles with. And so as soon as she can do in-person stuff, she's going to be on that. So I know we have that to look forward to, because right now we're kind of lacking in that area, just because she's kind of, I'm not sure what the right word is to describe it. It's just kind of just too depressed by it.
Oh no, I mean, some people, I mean, I know people too that like on over on Tier Monday nights, they have their online Zoom sewing circle. That's great. It's what they did before, and this is what they can do to, still have it in the process of what's going on. It's still not the same because they can't be really close and see the color or say, oh, do you really think that stitch right there is going to be good? And it's like, it's not the same. You can't actually feel the stitch or look at the quality. It's, you do the best that you can, but there's an aspect that's missing, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to get it much better. But what about like some of the other stuff? Have you guys been talking about, besides having your own events, what's the everyone, you should still plan, well, if they have this event, this is the first one we're going to go to, or anything like that?
Trying to think, because I know, because if you're talking about East Kingdom in general, I mean, I know for one, if we can do Shire Wars in person next year, Black Rose is still going to be running it, so we're still going to be doing it. But that's not until next October. But I mean, with how the pandemic is, it might be that that's the next time. We by then we're doing something in person. So Shire Wars might be our goal. There's also Comic-Con for next year, which is, a demo. So it's not the same as an SEA event, but
you're getting going, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're still getting to hang out with the crew and interact with everybody. So,
well, let me ask you this. Say, for example, after the vaccines and everything like that, say, for example, Comic-Con next year is actually like your first event. How big do you think that thing will be? Not just
If I have my,
most of the groups.
for you're saying the SCA presence at the Harrisburg Comic Con?
Well, not just the SCA presence, but say, for example, at the end of June, they say, all right, the pandemic's pretty much over. Everyone can start getting back to normal and everything like that. Then all of a sudden you're like, wow, besides Penzic and stuff like that, you're like, you know what, man, all the anime groups, all the other groups, it's going to be massive.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go nuts.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So now all of a sudden you're like, hey, our presence has to be even better because we're going to have even more visibility. We're going to have more of those fringe people, more of the people that are interested because, hey, I'm now out of the house. I want to do stuff. What is going to be the big thing that's going to really steamroll your group to get like more recruiting, more aspects?
I mean, if I have my way, that Comic-Con demo is gonna be gigantic. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, I mean, it should be gigantic, but how are you going to make it gigantic? Are you going to talk to more of the regional or the some of the other groups and say, hey, we want to do this. Can you guys bring a trebuchet?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to do, and I was talking to you about this a little bit more before we started recording, I want to reach out to the Comic-Con people and say, how much of this are they willing to accept?
On the floor.
Like how much of us are you able to accommodate? Because I have this idea. Let me spell it out for you what it would look like. How do you feel about it? And if they're like, yeah, if you can do that, we want that. Yes. Then the next step would be to reach out to all of our neighbors. Because last year we had a pretty big presence from Alshurst participate because they're our direct neighbor, but we also have other groups around us that I know we got some people from, but I would like to get more and have them, have like even their own booth to represent themselves. Maybe even see if I could get some people from Atlantia who are directly below us, because some people came up from Maryland for the Comic-Con. Like some of the people were telling us where they were from. So like, get a more, not just our little region, but the whole like East region represented there, and have basically just what we had last time, but maybe double the size, which you were there, you know how big that would be.
Right. Now, what about like having, example, I don't know if they have like flat screen 60-inch, 70-inch TVs or not like that you can borrow or rent or whatever like that. But did you think about having like a big screen TV up above everyone and having videos shown continuously?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we would have to provide that ourselves. And that was a thought we had last time, that we weren't able to bring to fruition, but it might be something, especially because we have all this extra time to plan. We might be able to find someone who can lend us theirs and, set that up and have that, because I know there's been some documentaries made about the SCA and about Penzic Wars, and have that playing in the background. There's also a banner that we were going to put up last time, but we didn't get to, that has like the SCA information on it. Like there's a lot more stuff we could do next time to make it even more complete, and even more, I'm not sure what the word, even more of a giant advertisement, I guess is one way to call it, or an infomercial, but an interactive infomercial, if that makes sense.
No, because when I'm just bringing it up because, I mean, as you know, I've been doing a lot of videos and stuff, But it's amazing how there's really not a lot of videos out there. And so one of the, like I said before, about talking about, having this and doing this, but say, for example, you guys have one of the classes would be the heraldic stuff. All right. And you have someone teaching the class on these are the colors, these are the names, these are the stuff. And then you videotape it and you play it at the Comic-Cons or a college demo or something like that, where you're showing it's not just this, but it's also educational. It's also modern, how we're, some of the stuff we're doing. Like one of the video, I'm not, strangely enough, I can cook. I can cook some pretty good food. And there's about this much where it's like, it is excellent. But I'm not a big cooking person. But I also know that there is a need and a desire. And I also, one of the reasons that I do it is to also get people out of, well, that's not period. Oh my God, it is period. Just let all the SCA Nazis of, no! And I'm like, shut up. One of them, and I try and make it a simple thing, like deviled eggs. They didn't call them deviled eggs back then. They just called them stuffed eggs. But there was a variety of stuffed eggs that is essentially deviled eggs for us today without the mayonnaise. And that's all it was. So I just did, I think it was a 20-minute class on it. I can't remember. Maybe it was longer. I like to talk a lot. But just having a basic thing where people are like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then you actually think about that. But something that's just basic that you can show new people, hey, life today was very much the same way as it was a long time ago. Just clothing is different. The way we prepare food is different, but it's still eggs. I mean, it's still cotton and wool. And then have them see how it close way back then and now still exists. So those are the things that I think are a good stepping stone to get people in, because it's not just going to be always fighting. It's not always going to be about costuming. You're going to get the woodworkers, you're going to get the musicians, you're going to get the cooks, you're going to get the people that want to play games. People who want, well, I want a Vietnamese persona. Okay, that's fine. But who has a Vietnamese persona? Okay, there's a person 580 miles away. Maybe that person, you know what? Let's go and do a Zoom call with that person and let that person do a class to try and increase different aspects of it. I think those are the things that need to be looked at, because we got, like I said, we're getting new people in. What do they want and how can we give it to them so they can stay in? Boy, that's exactly the one sentence I wanted to say during this entire.
You did it. You worked it in there. Yeah, pat yourself on the back. You did it.
Sometimes I just don't know how to put words together. So besides the Comic-Con, which like I said, I think is a huge thing that will get it going, what other things have you heard or think, or like I said, either heard from the new people or from the current group that are saying, we need to do this next to prepare? I think I asked you that question, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I know one thing in particular that my shire has been struggling with, that we've been meaning to do for a while, but I think is important for when we do reopen, like start doing in-person activities again, is to have a place to do and I know we said it's not all about fighting, but fight practices, because my own shire has not had its own fight practice in a very long time. And finding a location that will allow us to be there, or charge us very modestly for, the space, and so that we can have that established for when we reopen for these new people, because the new people have expressed interest in that, along with the other things we already have, like, the sewing gatherings and the archery. But that is something that we have not had. And the closest one is unfortunately our neighbors Alshurst, and they're not even doing it right now because of the pandemic. But that's still about a 40-minute drive from here. So it doesn't really work for people in Black Rose. I mean, people in Black Rose go amazingly, but it's not really convenient for, and I probably would be a lot to ask of a newcomer, especially now that we know we have newcomers who want to do that. Try to have that figured out and established for when we are able to have in-person practices, as a kingdom again, and have that ready to go. Sorry?
You guys have loaner armor for the new people when they're ready and you have a place?
And yeah, that would be the other aspect, is to have the loaner armor. Now, to my understanding, our blacksmith does have some of the loaner stuff, and he's actually made loaner helmets recently. So that's another thing. And, during the pandemic, we can't exactly give out loaner armor.
Well, no.
So when,
like
yeah.
I said, this is what can we do now to prepare for
Yes.
winter? So that's the
yeah, Orrin has made, I mean, he has sent me photos of helmets he's making that would be loaner helmets. So I know there is somewhat of that process happening now. And it's really a matter of finding a location to do it, to have it ready to go for when, restrictions are lifted. So I think that's a major thing, just to have that regularly occurring would be a huge boost for our shire individually, to have a space for that. I know in Alshurst, they also do an ANS night at the same location, or in another room, like in the gym, they do fight practice, and then in another room, they do ANS. If we could find a place where we could do that on a day that's different from their day, so that their fighters could get an extra practice and our fighters could get, a practice, and have our people come and do ANS too, that isn't quite as much of a journey. Or if you can't make the one night, you can do the other night, kind of tag teaming each other there, I think would be a very beneficial thing for both groups, and not just ours. So that's definitely something we need to explore.
one of the things that we're doing here is we have a new archery marshal, and she's doing really good job. And the two things that she's focusing on right now is, okay, if we can't do archery now, who is doing archery that we can go and visit? So she's checking on one group in South Dakota and one group over in Minnesota right now. So if they already have it, then we'll go there, support them, do some archery shooting. But then she's also getting ready to find a local site, hopefully. And she's been looking for, and the last, I think it's 35-mile radius. And now she's like looking at 55, 60-mile radius, because it's still not looking good. But in her mind, she's like, all right, I'm doing this, trying to find it. It's not looking good right now. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to plan for the summer. So when stuff gets better, these other sites that are not good for the winter, we'll start planning to see what works for the summer. So it's looking at both current, what's going on, what can we do to keep it going, keep it interested, and support each other. And then she's also looking at the future, which is great, because now it's like, once we can find someplace that's good and established, then at least we have a plan. So when summer hits, we're good to go, and we're not trying to, oh, well, now let's look for a site. Oh, we could have, but someone else got it already because we were behind the power curve. So again, I'm just kind of reinforcing the fact that now is the perfect opportunity to start looking for potential sites for fighting, start getting potential clothes and armor ready. So when it does occur, you can go crazy, the brand new people can go crazy, because we're going to have that initial rush that we need to really focus on and capture to cement those people into the thing. Where if we just kind of keep on putting it off, and it's like, okay, we got people that are ready. Well, we're always still going to go down to alpha. We're always going to kind of do the same thing instead of taking this opportunity to kind of reset, refocus, and really focus on getting each individual groups going again. Like I said, that's where I'm thinking where, all right, we got a brand new people. First thing we're going to do, we're going to have a potluck moot. We're going to have it at a park. We're going to have some stuff show up. So someone brings up a tent so they can see it. And then everyone can see who we are, get established on the things that we do, and start building our group's foundation again, instead of just, all right, I'm going to go to every single event that I can, every single weekend, because I've been SCA deprived, and that's great for you, but it doesn't really help the group, because at that point you're going on your own, off on your own, and the new people are kind of like, I'd like to go. So that's one of the things, like I said, I see as the big issue is a lot of the people or the groups are not really thinking how this opportunity can benefit the group so much that they can bring in new people, they can become more established, they can get these new things. They just want to get, instead, they're just thinking, I just want to get out of this and I just want to visit my friends in Wisconsin. So this is, like I said, this is the time where I think a lot of the groups really need to sit down, talk amongst themselves, and say, we really need to come up with some good plans. Like I said, a slow opening step. The first step will be this, second step will be this, third step will be this. But to get all this stuff, we need to find all of our stuff, fix it, make sure it's in good condition, take an inventory of what we have. Because the ones that will do the right thing, the group is going to just explode after this. All the cabin fever people, all the fringe people, people who want to do stuff, if you give them the opportunity and the capability, this is what we have, they're just going to dive into it. And the ones that are just like, yeah, we're just going to do our own thing, well, they're missing out. So this is mainly what I wanted to bring up for people to think about for after the pandemic period, because you're going to have the great opportunities and you're going to have the moments that are wasted. So, and I wanted to just get with you to find out what kind of ideas you guys had planned, what your group had been doing or will be doing. It sounds like you're like most of the other groups. There's a lot of stuff that they want. Everyone wants to get out. Everyone kind of wants to still do their old things, which is great. But everyone needs to be prepared to really think about how this is going, how their group is going to be after the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, the group could be good, could be bad, could be thriving, could be dying. The pandemic occurred, and it pretty much resets every single group. So every group has the opportunity to from here and see what they want to do. So I want to thank you for your time, and we'll have another interesting thing. And thank you very much for your ideas on the classes, which is perfect.
Thank you for having me.
Always, you know that. Silly monkey. Oh my God. So,
Great discussion.
trying to think what type of homework assignment I should give you this
Oh dear, more homework.
time. All right. If you could make one suggestion to your kingdom, what do you think that suggestion would be to make the best improvement, either to your group, to your region, or to the kingdom? Does that make
Oh gosh.
Because of all this,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, you know what we need to do is, and I'll give you my example.
Oh, don't. I got one.
Okay.
I got one. But we're going to discuss it next time, right?
Okay, yes, we'll talk about it next time.
Okay. I think I got one, but
Oh,
I'll
now you
develop
think you
it.
got one? You said you got one. Now you think you got one?
I have to develop it.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I have to develop it. I have to write notes. It's called homework.
This is not the Zoom you're looking for.
Yes. Yeah. It isn't. That's next time.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you all very much again, and hope everyone enjoys this nice little video, and hope this brings some good mental questions to mind for everyone that watches it.
Indeed.
All right. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.